This is Tehachapi. Welcome. Sit back and relax as Key Budge and Corey Costello talk about things that are happening in and around Tehachapi. Now it's time for Key and Corey.
Welcome to another episode of Tehachapi. Today it's Corey Costello and myself, Key Budge. Corey, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Good to see you today. We have another person that we've brought back again, a part of an organization that we're very fond of. And this is Lauren Falk with the Cerro Coso Foundation. Lauren, welcome to Tehachapi once again.
Thank you so much for having me back. I think this is the third time in less than a year, so we are absolutely thrilled that you guys are big fans of our mission.
Yeah, you're in pretty exclusive company. Like the 3-time guests are just, they're few and far between. Yeah, I think some heavy hitters.
I think Senator Grove is a 3-time guest.
Yes, yeah,
and I'm not sure
that
who
might be it.
And yeah, so you and Senator Grove are right there pushing.
We feel very honored because you guys are quite popular these days. We know that, so we have some big shoes to fill. Hopefully, we can. It's an exciting time today.
Well, thank you. I know we want to talk about some things that are coming up that the foundation wants to be involved in and really wants the community to get involved in. But before we do that, Lauren, will you introduce our two guests that are joining us, because you went out and sought them out to bring them because there's a little special message that they're able to tie in with what we're talking about today.
So I'd like to introduce today Kimberly Wade and Kristen Rodriguez. So Kimberly is one of our newest foundation board members based out in Ridgecrest. She took classes at Cerro Coso back in the day. We were very excited to have her. She has been a really huge part of something I'll go into a little bit later, our new monthly giving program. And we are just absolutely thrilled to have her. And she's very passionate about our mission. And then Kristen Rodriguez is a current student right here in Tehachapi, the Tehachapi campus. She is a student ambassador, and she is also one of our Promise Scholarship students, which is one of our most important programs the foundation supports. So really excited to have both of them here with us today.
Kristen, Kimberly, welcome to Tehachapi.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
We've got some things coming up that you wanted to talk about. Where do we want to go first? We want to talk about the monthly giving or the Promise Scholarships, or what do you think we should lead with?
If I could, Key, I would love to give your listeners just a quick update on some of the exciting things that are happening at the Tehachapi campus in particular, because it's growing really fast. And I think this will help folks really become enthusiastic about supporting students there. So we currently actually have almost 1,500 students in the Tehachapi area. Over 1,000 of these are actually incarcerated students. We are serving over 1,000 incarcerated students in the 2 prison, plus almost 5 students at the Tehachapi campus itself. Many of these students are eligible for the Phi Theta Kappa Honors Society, which, opens the door to a lot more scholarship and transfer opportunities. They work really hard. It's exciting to see them grow. The campus itself is adding several full-time faculty members to keep up with demand. They continue to see their EMT classes be really popular. You take those classes, you get the certificate, and then you pass the state exam, you're qualified for EMT work anywhere across the state. Something else that's really exciting that's happening and coming back this fall is the police academy. So the Tehachapi campus is currently working on getting the final advanced level of the post academy. There are 3 levels. Right now, they're currently offering levels 1 and 2. So you can get most of the academy training done right there in Tehachapi. And once you get the 3rd level done, you can then, pass any exam in the state, fully certified in California to become a peace officer. One of the other things they're starting up in the fall is a business entrepreneurship certificate. I think this is really exciting. It'll be, 2 semesters. It's an accelerated certificate program. So you can actually get a certificate in business entrepreneurship. You can also use those classes to go on to a 4-year transfer and get a business degree and such. And so I think that's a really cool opportunity coming to the area in the fall. So I just want to throw a few of those things out there. That campus is currently our fastest growing campus, and we continue to see more and more local students taking advantage of what they have to offer. We don't have her on the call today, but the director of that campus, Lisa Stevens, I will just say is an absolutely phenomenal person. And what she's been able to do there in just a few short years is nothing short of amazing, particularly just the inspiring work that they do in the prisons and really giving these men and women a chance once they come out to make the community a better place and not fall back into old habits. And so I think it's really good for the community all around to hear some of the great things that the college is doing there in Tehachapi, to make sure that you guys heard that.
And for myself, and I've mentioned it before, I'm taking online classes through Cerro Coso, with this digital media certificate that is being offered and getting a chance to, freshen up some skills and work on some things and getting myself up to date. There's so many different certificate programs that are available. Again, I always try to look at the silver lining of COVID, and this has been one of those, because I don't know that I would have been able to go in class if it was an in-class type setting, but the online is fit for me very well personally to be able to incorporate that into my life.
I'm excited about the business entrepreneurship class and that program, Lauren, that you brought up, because, Kern County in general, not just Tehachapi, but Kern County has been focused recently quite heavily through the Kern Economic Development Corporation with their KITE initiative, which is, and so it's basically to try to keep, the talent and entrepreneurship. It's Kern's initiative for talent and entrepreneurship. Keep those people here, because what happens is we have a lot of entrepreneurs in Kern, but they decide to leave. They have their idea and they take their idea elsewhere. So this is great to have this opportunity in Tehachapi, so those future Tehachapi entrepreneurs can get their education and maybe foster and grow their idea as part of an ecosystem here in this community and also countywide.
What's funny, Corey, is a part of the class that I'm taking, as we talk about online businesses, I actually brought them to the instructor's attention. She's incorporating that into the class. So that way it was another tool for these future entrepreneurs as they're looking to break into the business. But that's an excellent point. And now it's going to be a part of future Cerro Coso classes.
Yeah, Corey, that's a great point that you just made there. And we really see just the campus growing there. And with the business entrepreneurship and programs like that, what we're trying to really do is help, develop the talent right there in the Tehachapi area, and then keep that talent there, for the future. And so I think that's something to really keep in mind, for our listeners when you're thinking about, supporting local nonprofits and such. Keep the Cerro Coso Community College Foundation in mind, because really what we are doing is creating, the next generation of hopefully successful, workers, business owners, just the next successful generation of talent right there in your own community.
And a lot of these initiatives, they're all awesome, and these offerings are great, but this stuff also takes funding, financing to get it off the ground, and that's where the foundation comes in, Lauren's work, and of course, Kimberly's work as well on the board. Kimberly, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got on this board and sort of your role with the organization.
Yeah, so I just joined this year. I think I had my kind of introductory meeting, and then like in the first week of March of 2020, and then we were shortly put on lockdown after that. So most of my work has been focusing on kind of doing some planning in this kind of downtime for the foundation. The foundation really is the fundraising arm of the college, and we have these opportunities to support all of the students across all of the campuses with different programs, the Promise program, the Hunger Free Campus programs. And I really, I was an adult student. I started my college path after I got out of the Army 20 something years ago, we'll say. And I started my college career with two kids at home, and it actually took me about 17 years to get my 4-year my bachelor's degree. And so I really have a heart for non-traditional students that are doing what they can to just take that one or two steps forward. And that's why I was so excited about supporting this foundation in particular, because they're just such advocates of learning at every age and at every economic level, and just whatever stage of life that you're in, that there's opportunities for you to learn. So that's why I joined and what I'm passionate about. Currently, I'm working on kind of reframing our marketing and making sure that our fundraising goals are communicated to the to the broader public, and so that they can see what we're using this money for. And I think that that's been key for our efforts in the past year, is just to make those connections to people from, their donation, their monthly $5. What is that providing to students like Kristen, or what is it doing for our hunger-free campuses? How many lunches are we providing to students, with those funds? And that's really exciting for me, is to make those connections for people.
Well, first, thank you for your service. You mentioned it very quickly that you were in the Army. So thank you for that, because we're very big on making sure that we acknowledge our members of the military here. It's part of our Tehachapi tradition, if you will, and definitely a part of our Tehachapod tradition. So we appreciate that. One thing I'm impressed with, you say this is your first year that you're involved. you've already got a huge knowledge base on the programs and the things that you're passionate about that the foundation's involved in. I mean, that's what came across with that description to me, is that you really, really feel, this connection, and you want to be able to push through for this, like you said, the non-traditional students. But I mean, my goodness, I mean, that's what came across to me, was you really feel it.
Yeah, I absolutely, I'm glad that you can hear it and you can feel that my passion is to just I have some kind of things in my life that are kind of my guiding lights, and one of them is learning, and it's been that way for me forever. And it's so exciting to see people who don't think that they can, or don't have the resources, be able to go and learn something new. And as an older student, that's really exciting for me to know that this is going to continue, and for the next 20 or however long years that I'm around. And I hope that I think that that's one of the things that college instills in people, and all of the staff and all the resources that are available, they speak to that too. So I'm kind of feeding off of that passion that they have, and using it to drive me as well.
I've used this before when we were talking with Cerro Coso, but when I first came here in 2017 to the city, there was this thought of I could really see education shifting, and that was right about the same time that Cerro Coso really started pushing into our market. And I was a traditional college student for the most part, went to high school, went to a 4-year college, and then went back much later as an adult student as well to get a master's degree. But there's this shift because of the way we have online learning, because we have certificate programs now, that doesn't say you have to just be, you don't have to have this exclusive timeline for your education. It doesn't have to be right out of high school, I have to go to college and just college. You can now have that sort of start a career or work at a job, because not everybody knows exactly what they want to do with their life right out of high school. And that's the beauty of just the United States. You don't have to make that decision. Other countries make you make that decision at like 12. And are you going to go to a prep school, or are you going to go to a trade school? And, but here you can kind of just change whenever you'd like. So Cerro Coso really helps that non-exclusive, and folks like Kimberly just kind of point out that, hey, it wasn't until later that I decided I want to go back, or I wanted to go down this career path, and I was able to get the certificate or the degree. So I really like to see this expanding and hearing these stories about that non-exclusive sort of timeline for your education, how they can work with your job and enhance, and then maybe ultimately you start your own company with the education that you receive. So it's good to see that happening.
Now, one thing I asked Lauren is, let's make sure that we try and include a student, because that's what it's all about. We get on here and we talk about things, but it's about these student experiences. So, Kristen, I want to welcome you in, and I want you to tell us a little bit about your journey at Cerro Coso so far. What's it been like for you, and what are some of the things that your takeaway from maybe what you've just heard us talking about before we brought you in?
I've been at Cerro Coso since my summer of my senior year. So I was a dual enrolled student since high school, but then I completed the medical assisting program with Cerro Coso before I even graduated. So that was like something that I already had underneath my belt. So, but when I graduated, I decided to take a year off and kind of go traveling and go adventuring. I did a big missions trip. And then when I came back, I was wanting to go to school again, but then I didn't know what I wanted to do necessarily still after that whole year. I thought I wanted to go in the medical field, but I experienced a little bit of that overseas, and I was like, oh, I don't think that's for me. So I contacted the Cerro Coso counselor, and, she still knew me by name, and it was like just this great family atmosphere already, because I was there since high school. Like, it was just something accessible to me, something that I was comfortable with, and I didn't have to go all the way to, Bakersfield and go to that college, that I could just go right here in Tehachapi. So then I just joined, and I decided to do business administration as my major, and hope to transfer. So right now, this is my last semester here with Cerro Coso, and I'm really excited because it's just trained me to be able to go out and transfer into this 4-year, into my next path and my next chapter. And I'm very, very grateful for that. And the Promise Scholarship has actually helped me a lot with buying expenses for my books and paying a little bit of my tuition. It's been very, very, very helpful.
Lauren, let's talk about the Promise Scholarships, as Kristen just mentioned. I mean, that's something that's really important that we support. Give us a little bit of the background behind the Promise Scholarships, if you can.
Sure thing. And Kristen, thank you. You were an absolute rock star, and I'm gonna best of luck in your transfer experience and such. And we'll definitely want to hear more from you down the road and the great things you decide to do. So yeah, Kristen is an example of one of our Promise students, and what an absolutely phenomenal scholarship program. We had our first class of Promise students, I think only 25 of them back in the fall of 2018. This started as a scholarship initiative, merit-based, so not financially aid-based at all. Some of our scholarships are need-based, some not. This one, we wanted to open it up to absolutely every student, regardless of need. Because you have folks that are not going to qualify for financial aid, but maybe whose parents they still can't, support the full cost of tuition. We look at the low unit cost and forget all the other expenses, such as books. For non-traditional students, we're talking childcare. We're talking all these other expenses, and to really be able to help students out, and they have to make commitments on their end, key. So they have to be a full-time student. They have to complete 12 units a semester or 30 units a year. So if you do less than 15 a semester, you'll probably do summer classes as well. You have to maintain a 2.0 GPA, which is good academic standing, good student conduct. You have to complete what we call outreach hours every semester. And at first, I think the students thought it was a little silly, but it's funny because as the semesters have gone on, I've watched them kind of derive more and more value out of giving back a little bit to the college. It's been a little bit more difficult with these outreach hours during COVID. I know last semester, some of our local Ridgecrest students were helping out with some of our hunger-free drive-through events and such. But a lot of their interaction this year has been virtual, but it's been really great to see, because Kimberly and I both joined a Zoom session with all of the current Promise students across the campuses a couple weeks ago, and they're all in this one Zoom session on a Friday morning. I think the topic was, procrastination and coping skills or something. And it was pretty cool. They got a lot out of it. These students can't be physically on campus right now for the most part, face to face, but they're still finding ways to interact. And this, is more than just a scholarship. It's also an interactive program. These students, feed off of each other, and they get added support from our counseling and our financial aid and our professors and such. And so it's just really created this great community of full-time students that we want to see, get that work done for little cost and low debt in 2 years, and then go on to the workforce or to a 4-year, and to hopefully give back to the community that's given to them and do great things. And that's really what the Promise program is trying to do. And we've seen more and more students come on board each year, which also means, more and more funding will be needed. So there's the catch, right? We really want to be able to offer this opportunity in the years to come. And that's where broad community support in all of our geographical areas is going to be very, very important for us. And I think, just the way I talk about it, you can tell I used to be the program manager on the college side for the scholarship program as it was getting up and running in the first 2 years. So it's something that's very near and dear to my heart. It's kind of my baby, and it's just been really exciting to see it grow, and we want to keep it going with foundation support.
Kristen, I'm kind of curious. You talked about being a dual enroll senior at one point, and then you have, you're getting ready to transfer. So what kind of academic situation has your time at Cerro Coso put you in as you get ready to transfer to a 4-year? Because Lauren brought it up. It's low unit cost, which is obviously something we hear a lot about, is the expense of college. So what sort of, academic situation are you in thanks to your time at Cerro Coso as you get ready for a 4-year transfer?
Well, I was able to complete the full business administration major part, but then I was also able to complete the general ed part too. So it's like this EGOT program where it helps me take certain classes to make sure that all my credits are transferable. So that's where I'm at this moment. I have all my ducks in a row. The Promise Scholarship, actually, the volunteer stuff had gotten me into working as a student worker with Cerro Coso too.
Yes. Yeah, and that's a big part of it. A lot of your college expense at the 4-year, and like I said, I was that guy. It's along your general education, and so if you have the opportunity, and this is why a lot of time I'll advocate for the community college model. You have an opportunity to complete that stuff at a far less rate than somewhere else, just because it's got a fancier name. But at the end of the day, you will transfer that stuff out, but you're going to complete it at a far more affordable level than you would in a 4-year university right off the bat.
Yeah, and that's what I did. I went to JC out of high school, and I made sure that I took every single class I could take.
Yeah.
to transfer over to before I went into the Cal State system. So, I think it was like 72 units I was able to transfer. I made sure I took every one of those because I was paying for it myself out of pocket. So, it's like I valued every dollar I had to earn and put towards my education. And it was, once I got to the Cal State, I made sure I brought over everything I could. All my luggage was full. So, Lauren, how can we help? What do we want to encourage the community to do to help the Promise scholarships or the other programs that the foundation has? What's a good way that we can show this financial support?
Well, thank you for asking, Key. That's a great question because we actually have two pretty cool initiatives going on right now, coming up here in the next month. So I think I mentioned this earlier. One of those is a new monthly giving program that we're starting. And, I sent something out to potential supporters the other day. I thought it was a little bit clever of me. I'm like, you probably already are paying $15 a month for your Netflix or HBO Max subscription. Like, what about, spending $15 a month on helping your local students, something that can really have a huge impact? It's little dollar amounts can add up. So we started this monthly giving program, just encouraging supporters to give $10, $20, $25, $30 a month. You can choose a specific program the foundation supports, or you can just put it into our general fund and we put where it needs the most, where the students have the most need at the time. So the good thing is the donors can choose, if you really hold, hunger free, you're, about food distribution, if that's really near and dear to your heart, you can be contributing solely to that. If the Promise Scholarship sounds like a really awesome program and you want to support these current and then future students, you can give directly to the Promise student. But the point being, we don't always need, major $500, $1,000 donations. Sometimes it's those little amount. I think a lot of folks kind of skip over sometimes like, oh, I can't really make a difference. Trust me. Yes, you can. You give $10 a month, you do that for 10 months. You've already, given 2 grocery cards to a student and their family to feed themselves for 2 weeks. And that doesn't sound like a big deal to you, but to them, and they were struggling to put food on the table, that's a gigantic deal. And that's a service that we offer in Tehachapi as well. So, just little things like that, I think showing that a small amount can make a huge impact. And, the foundation is focused obviously as well on our resiliency, and COVID is, it's been a relatively tough time for local nonprofits. Particularly, we had to cancel all of our in-person fundraising events and such. And so we've really been using this virtual environment to reach out to potential donors. And so it's been an interesting challenge to really get our message across, So our hashtag for our monthly giving program that Kimberly came up with, which is phenomenal, is hashtag still in session. Meaning, our students may not be physically on campus right now, but class is still in session. They are still learning. And they still have the same needs that they had, a year and a half ago. In some cases, even more pronounced now because the economic downturn has really hit, a lot of particularly our non-traditional students very hard. So this new monthly giving program is just a really excellent way for folks to just, a small amount each month and really make a huge difference. The second initiative that we have coming up, so on May 4th is Give Big Kern. It is run by the Kern Community Foundation. It is a county-wide day of giving. This is actually the first time that Cerro Coso is participating. They were really excited to hear that we were on board. It's very heavily focused, I think, on the western side and Bakersfield area of the county. And so to get more and more nonprofits from the East Kern area participating is, I think, very exciting for them. It's givebigkern.org, and every organization, including us, will have a page on their site. It'll be advertised. We'll be advertising it throughout the next month to get folks exciting. And it's just one of another way to support your local nonprofits. And, I'll put in a plug for everyone here, not just us. There are a lot of really great organizations across Kern County that are going to be raising money on May 4th. The great thing is you don't have to wait until May 4th to give. The website just went live on Easter Sunday, actually. So givebigkern.org. If anyone's interested in checking us or any of the other organizations out, that is live now. And then it culminates in the big day in a few weeks. And so those are two things that we have going on right now where, we really, really need local community support. And I'm going to say this again, particularly for programs such as Promise, as we continue to see them grow and we're serving more and more students like Kristen and such in the local area. We want local residents to know all the great things that the college is doing and all the great things that our students are doing with foundation support. So we're really grateful to have Tehachapi to help us amplify this message locally. I really can't thank you guys enough for letting us come on for a third time. It's an absolute honor, and we really appreciate it.
I've literally gone to the website right now, to your Cerro Coso Community College Foundation website, found the link to the donation. Just because the fact that Cerro Coso's done so much in expanding, I'm literally right now, as you're talking, Lauren, signing up as a monthly donor. So it's super easy to do.
Awesome news! Look at that.
And you guys all had great stories. It's super easy to do. You've got option for $10 a month, $25 a month, $50 a month, $100 a month, and it kind of talks about what you kind of get, what your money goes to, and then you can pick. Sort of like Lauren pointed out, does it go to the general fund? So, the Promise Scholarship, love the story we're hearing. So mine's going to go to the Promise Scholarship. So carry on. I'm going to continue to fill out my phone.
Corey actually he has phone in hand and he's filling it out. and I was just going to ask you, Lauren, to go ahead and give the information on how people can do the monthly giving. So go ahead and give the website again.
cerrocoso.edu/foundation. The good thing is we have several options there. There's a donate button right there. You can also click on support Cerro Coso if you want more in-depth information about the ways to give in our program. We also have our social media links right on that homepage. And we're going to be doing a lot of promoting of these different programs. Like I said, we're spotlighting a different program each month. So you'll see on our Facebook and Instagram, we're trying to build followers now. We just started last year. So really trying to boost it and get it up there. So follow us on social media to see all these great student stories, videos, quotes and such. And then also, we have a mailing list. And so you can get good information that way. That's all right at cerrocoso.edu/foundation on the homepage.
And that email newsletter that you put together and send out is so informative. And I love reading the success stories that you include in each of those. So if people are kind of curious, just signing up for the newsletter, you are going to get pulled in. You're going to feel the energy that's going on, the positivity that this foundation creates for the students at Cerro Coso. I love seeing the success stories. That's why I always say, you got to have a student on. I want to hear a student success story. And those are the things that really resonate with me. So, great job with that. And if you're thinking about donating, it's super easy. Corey is almost done right now with inputting his credit card information.
Yes, yeah, almost done.
And so, it's already a success. We haven't even published the podcast yet, and you've already got an additional donor.
It's I'll make it I can make it a challenge. I'm not, shaming anybody into doing this, but seriously, it's a very affordable way to donate. And especially when you realize that $25 a month pays for a couple 3-unit classes. Like that's big, and it'll help continue to get those offerings up into Tehachapi and elsewhere around Kern County where Cerro Coso serves. So super easy to do.
Kimberly, let me ask you, as Corey's talking about, his journey, and then hearing you and Kristen talk about it with the passion that you do, and Lauren always comes with the passion. As a director, how do you feel, when you hear the stories motivated him to pull his wallet out of his pocket as we're talking to go do it? Because we've done a lot of shows. This is like show 65 or 66.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've ever seen Corey Costello in possession of a wallet.
Yeah. Or when we go to lunch, hey, I forgot my wallet.
Yeah.
Sorry, you got me today?
That's right. As a member of the board of directors here for the foundation, these stories, they motivated, it touched him. He felt a connection. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, your connection word is really what I was going. That's really our goal and our job, is to connect the community to what the college is providing for the community. We talked a lot about even just dual enrollment is such an opportunity that not a lot of students across California have, to be able to complete an associate's degree by the time they graduate from high school. That's a huge thing. And being able to connect with, again, the non-traditional students and the traditional students in our community, and showing those connections to our community. That's why I think that happened, is because when you can see what your funds are supporting, it makes it easy to give. When you're unsure and it kind of goes in this black box somewhere, we just have a little bit of hesitancy. But I think that's what Corey experiences, just being able to see, Kristen is going to be able to go on to a 4-year school because of this Promise program that he was able to take part in. The foundation supports that Promise program 100%. It's merit-based. Those are the connections that I think is what I am trying to do as a director, as part of the board of directors, is to just show them. I don't really have to do a lot of work, right? It's just exposing them because they're there.
Kristen, what do you think? You shared your story and it already, touched somebody enough to want to reach out and help another future students. What do you think about that?
I think it's so important because I want to see Tehachapi more involved, because I talked to my friends and people who could have gone to Cerro, but they chose Bakersfield College. So there's so many options that Cerro has to offer, and so many options like this Promise program, that I just wanted to get out there. And I want students of Tehachapi to come to Cerro and be in the community still without having to make that drive down to Bakersfield.
And
it can be a scary drive. Let me just say that.
Yes. No, it can be. We've talked about that.
I don't miss that right now.
Yeah, we talked about that on the show. And that's part of my job in general, right? Like, I want to try to get as many services as possible, whether it's business, retail, medical, education, on the mountain, to stay here. Because I grew up here, but I grew up driving to Bakersfield, right? Or driving to Lancaster, Palmdale for anything, whether it was shopping, doctor's visits, all that stuff. So we don't have to necessarily do that anymore. And really, it helps build the community when we bring more of those services in-house. And we've done a great job with that, with medical. The retail is falling into place, and so on. The recreation, that stuff's starting to kind of fall into place. But the education part is so important, because a lot will commute. And let's be honest, gas is not cheap right now. And so those commuting students, as much as we can keep them here, that keeps them here. So that means they're going to be spending more money here as well. They're going to be staying in Tehachapi, and they're not spending it necessarily elsewhere in Bakersfield or something. So it's all part of that ecosystem that I talk about. But that's a big part of just what I do, is try to keep those services here local, and that includes education.
Lauren, in closing, let's make sure we give the information how people can go ahead and do this and participate and be a part of the monthly giving program, and then go ahead and give the information again for Give Big Kern, if you don't mind.
Yep, of course. So to support our new monthly giving program, very simple. You just have to go to cerrocoso.edu/foundation. All of the information you need will be right on that page. And it can also direct you to any of our other pages if you need. Like I said, our social media links, our email sign up, and then our donate button is right there. And there's also a separate page, Support Cerro Coso, if you decide to click and read more about the different ways to give, because we do have other options. And then for Give Big Kern, you'll see a lot of publicity from the Kern Community Foundation probably in the next couple of weeks as we lead up to May 4th. But givebigkern.org is the website. You can find us and all the other organizations that are participating. Like I said, we are one of the very few local nonprofits in the East Kern side of town. So we are really trying to drum up support from everyone in our communities. You can give anytime between now and May 4th. That is the final day, but they did open it up on Easter Sunday. So those two websites will get you anywhere you need to go right now with respect to what we're doing for our students. And we, just really, really encourage the community to support your local students. And as we continue to see the Tehachapi campus grow, I just think I've seen all the growth. Just, I've only been, full disclosure, in California for 3.5 years and living in this area. And the amount of growth I've seen in Tehachapi just over those 3.5 years has just been kind of astounding to me. And I think, the campus there is growing with it. So you guys just have such a phenomenal town, and the people there are absolutely so wonderful. And, we just really want their support for keeping education local and really helping those students. So thank you again so much for giving us this opportunity today. And I hope folks were really inspired by Kimberly and Kristen, because I know that I was. And so I'm just really grateful.
I just love hearing local success stories. So Lauren, thank you for the work that you're doing on behalf of Cerro Coso College Foundation. Kimberly, thank you, for your passion. It really comes across. I appreciate it. I'm an online student. I'm the non-traditional, education guy.
You're actually the reason why I'm motivated to give, Key. It's you.
Is it for me? So specifically, it's ear tagged for me.
If you can help Key budge, you can help anybody.
We'll just edit that out. Oh my goodness. But, Kimberly, thank you for your passion and your time that you spend with the foundation. It means a lot. And Kristen, best of luck. Just super motivated to hear. And the dual enrollment program is the thing that I'm always like, I think that's the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And I wish that was available when I was a student. I don't know if I could have handled it, but it just shows to the level of dedication that you have to further your education and where you want to go in life. So, congratulations to you. And then I think we're going to wrap it up. Is there anything in closing that you guys would want to share?
No, thanks for having me.
I think we've covered it all. Thank you again for having us, and get out there and give, community. We are here, and we are supporting your local students, and we're doing great things. So everyone get involved. You won't regret it.
All right, Corey. We've wrapped another Cerro Coso Foundation show, and this is the third time that we've had Lauren come back with directors and students, most importantly. What was it that connected there for you, listening? Was it Kristen's story? What was it that you said, you know what, this is something I definitely want to support?
Well, when Lauren kind of brought up the fact that, like, and we hear this a lot, but you spend this much for Netflix, you spend this much for Hulu, right. And when you think about it, you're right, I do. And then on the same side of things, it's like I pointed out, part of my job is to get stuff here and keep it here, keep it local. And so there's a one side of the aisle that's always wants to say, we should do blank, right? I wish we had blank. Well, there's the other side, that's the doers that are like, okay, well, how do we get that done, right? So if $25 a month is going to help them and get some kids with the Promise Scholarship too, and that's kind of where I tag that as the Promise Scholarship, because it was merit-based. It wasn't necessarily based on need, and that's super important, but it's on those folks that maybe they don't qualify for regular financial aid, but wow, these are good students. And they need this opportunity to go to college as well. So those two things really struck, the opportunity to kind of help keep something here and then really give to this merit-based scholarship program.
And you understand that from another level, having a career in the education field and then seeing, students, the student athletes, scholarships, the importance, how critical it was for some. And then probably for those that didn't, the struggle that goes along with that, trying to become a student and reach your goals, but the financial challenges. For me, I removed myself from college for 30 years, so it's been a while for me, or even longer than that, my God. But I still remember the financial challenges along the way. And back then, bread was probably 50 cents.
Right.
And it's not 50 cents anymore.
Right.
So I can't imagine what it's like to be a student right now, trying to be self-sufficient, and prepping yourself for that next level.
Well, and, when I went back and got, another degree much later, about, it was like 14 years later or 13 years later after I finished undergrad, going back over a decade later to get a graduate degree, I was that full-time job student / family at home, taking night courses. And there was a few others that were quite a few others just like me in that boat. So you certainly feel for these non-traditional students that are trying to better their lives, better their career, make a change, just pivot a little bit. Maybe they have the opportunity now and the right job, and where growth is being encouraged, and so is education. So you really have those things that are important, and the opportunity to support those. So the monthly giving deal, that's the best part. It's one of those deals you don't necessarily really notice it, right?
Right.
And it's not like they're asking you to give them $500 right now. Every month, and you probably won't even notice it on your, in your day-to-day. So.
It's so true.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to do what Corey did today and help, with, and you can select what part of the foundation you want the money
and
to
levels,
go to.
$10, like I said, $25, they even have their own. You can customize it as how much you want to give a month.
And that's cerrocoso.edu/foundation. It was super easy. Corey had it done in just a few minutes. It probably took longer to just input your credit card information.
That was the longest part, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Than to go through that system. Plus, of course, we've got the Give Big Kern that's coming up on May 4th, and you'll be seeing information all over media from that. Lauren, she hit a home run really today, bringing in Kristen, and Kimberly. They both were motivated and successful in, and the drive and passion was there. So, it was just nice to hear their stories. And I love the fact that Kristen is a Tehachapi resident.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And here's the success from our local campus. So, folks, we appreciate your time. We hopefully you enjoyed the show, and a few of you got motivated as Corey did, listening to what Kristen had to say and what Kimberly had to say as she's a part of the foundation. And of course, I always said Lauren always has the energy and the passion and the foundation knowledge. So it was great to have them all on the show today. We'd love to hear from you. Send us a comment if you'd like to, or you have a question, a show topic idea, media@TehachapiCityHall.com. It's that easy. We've got shows coming up. We're going to look at recycling. Mm-hmm. There's new changes that are coming that way, and then we're going to tie it in maybe with a little bit of what goes on at our household hazardous drop-off days, because I had a question about, well, what really can be dropped off? And the information's over on the Kern Public Works website, but it becomes a topic. Then we're sending people over. We're talking about it, but it's Kern Public Works' program, so we need to make sure we get a little bit more in depth and talk about how to properly dispose of things. And that'll be, I think we'll tie that in with waste management, with the stuff that they've got coming up.
Lots of stuff happening state levels on down into how you handle your garbage, your recycling, and so forth. So a lot of regulations and a lot of state mandated things that are coming down the pike that'll mean changes for, what's at your curb.
And then, of course, the wastewater episode, I've teased it already with Greg on a previous show, but actually got comments asking for part 2. They want to hear about the part 2 that we had teased following our water show with Don and Tyler.
Yeah, once we pump it out of the ground and use it, what happens to it after you use it?
Right.
And how do it doesn't just, for residents, right, it just goes away. People that live in the city and have a sewer system, it just goes away. And then there's a whole army of people that then treat it and handle it.
So we'll have part 2 as soon as Don and Tyler have time to rejoin us.
Nice.
And if you've got other ideas, send them to us. Both of those show topics came from the public, so we'd love to hear what your thoughts are. media@TehachapiCityHall.com. Make sure you tell a friend to subscribe to Tehachapod, and we'll catch you next time.
Tehachapod is a conversation about Tehachapi designed for the people who live here or who would like to know more about this mountaintop community. If you have a question you would like answered, email media@TehachapiCityHall.com. We will try to answer it on a future episode of Tehachapod.